Hello and welcome to IronAge Interviews. Tonight we have Kailey Mathis with us, who is a singer-songwriter out of Nashville, Tennessee. She'll be telling us a little bit about her various musical endeavors and what she's up to currently, and just a little bit of general chit-chat about the Iron Age and maybe a few other topics. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Richard. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to talk to you. And uh, I guess the first thing that I really wanted to ask you about was uh, getting into the music business. In the indie space, I know that you and I believe your husband is your producer to
Mm.
some degree, does at least some of the mastering work for you. How has that been as far as, what kind of reception have you received
Um,
in terms of audience and
I mean, it's difficult whenever I meet people in real life and then they find out I'm in Nashville. Their first thing is like, "Oh, yeah, you moved to Nashville. Bet you're trying to go up there and trying to
oh
get
yeah,
signed, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "No, that's actually not why. We just moved to Nashville because also, I mean, there's music here, obviously, but
yeah,
um, yeah, and so like once you learn that labels and everything are basically just a musical bank. That's really all they are. They're
hmm,
banks that give you money and tell you who to spend it with, how to spend it, and you don't see a dime back until they've made every penny plus some.
hmm,
So that is definitely never been my goal. And I do, when I can, try to teach about like, hey, it's just not the way to go anymore. I mean, definitely old school, that was the way. And I'm definitely an advocate for do it yourself. And yeah, just trying in little ways through little meetings, trying to be like, hey, there's a whole world of independent. If you like people, support them. Kind
hmm.
of how y'all all say, like, put your money where your mouth is, show up to a gig. If you believe in something, you want somebody to do good. There are tons of free ways you can help people out to be able
Oh
to do
yeah.
that.
So uh,
So yeah.
in my world, I'm a little bit more familiar with publishers and traditional publishing in that regard. It sounds like to me a lot of the music industry is I would say probably even worse in some regards, based on my perception from the outside. Do you think that's a fair statement that labels have been more aggressive about pushing the message for even longer than book publishers who really didn't get aggressive about it until about, I don't know, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's not just labels though. It's going to be pretty much anybody you can think of that you're going to be working with.
Hmm.
You
So like
kind of got to watch your
studios and
back.
things, or
Yeah,
venues,
like
or
some,
how far with everything?
I mean, like you've even got some producers and
Hmm.
musicians, engineers, they'll try to take their percentage and try
Mm,
to take like publishing percentages, songwriting percentages on the back end from songwriters. And that can be percentages from the artist just actually recording those songs. Venues, a lot of places are pay to play, and it's
hmm.
like, dude, I'm bringing entertainment to your business. Oh no, what is
Yeah, that
this? I don't
seems
know if you can see
backwards.
my screen, but
Nope.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's sorry, I had a pop up.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of venues are like pay to play, and they just don't seem to get the value that music brings into their business. It keeps people happy, keeps people staying because they're going to eat and drink more if they're staying and listening. Um, that's just kind of the venues that I grew up in because when I first started out, I was just playing with my dad.
Hmm.
And we were in a lot of restaurants and like bar areas, types like that. So I was used in Mississippi, I was used to getting paid. They paid me
Hmm.
to come play because they saw the value in that. And then moving to Nashville is way different. And, because there is a scene for obviously original music,
Hmm.
but for places that are encouraging you to play original music, they want you to put butts in seats. So you have to
Mm, yeah,
really
yeah,
sell those tickets or you're basically again, it's pay to play. So, somebody's paying for the venue at that point. So,
yeah, yeah. I understand.
yeah.
So, was I have a couple questions. I would say the first one is, was the access to venues and gigs and things like that potentially part of your uh, interest in moving to Nashville? Was it kind of a cultural decision as well?
Honestly, my life just went in a crazy direction. I wouldn't have necessarily thought that it would have. If you would have asked me in 2014 what I was going to be doing, it would not be what I'm doing today. Or even in 2018 when I,
Hmm.
was still in Mississippi at the time. Honestly, I followed Brandon up here and I was just like, well, let's whatever. I like
Is that your
Nashville.
your husband?
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
husband.
Okay.
Yeah. I lived here over a summer when I was still in college, interning here
Hmm.
at a studio, and I really liked it. I didn't, I wasn't stuck in being Mississippi. I never necessarily imagined myself in Nashville or anywhere else, but
Hmm.
yeah, I was just kind of open to see where it would go, and so I moved up here and got a job and just see where it went. Like I said, I wasn't even necessarily growing up stuck on the whole, oh, I want to be a musician. I was actually
Hmm.
super shy growing up. So I really didn't even sing in front of people until I was in like later in high school. And then I got into songwriting when I took a songwriting class in college and was like, oh, this is fun. I like this. So kind of pursued it that route. Yeah.
So one of the songs that I believe it was on your first album,
Hmm.
"Hey Daddy," that I enjoyed that because I have a daughter who's 5 right now, and it kind of tugs at the heartstrings. Um, you said that your initial, some of your initial performances and whatnot were with your dad. Is that sort of how you started singing?
Yeah, I would say so. He always really encouraged me because he played guitar. I mean, around our house all the time. I'd fall asleep to him playing random
Mhm.
stuff on the guitar every night, pretty much. So that was very normal in our house for him to play. Like I said, I was shy. He would try to get me to sing in church and stuff like that. Like always trying to get me to sing in front of people. I was too shy. So, um, but yeah, he wrote actually the last verse and chorus of that song, and he
Mhm.
would just always play that around me growing up. I'd always hear that guitar pattern and that those lyrics, and so he could just never finish it though. So later in life, I was late in my later teenage years. I sat down and just, I mean, we kind of had discussed before, like the developing story, like really storytelling and fleshing that out. And so, yeah, I just ran with what was there and just wrote, the first two verses, first two choruses, and the bridge, since all that's different.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, kind of made it into a full developing story, kind of stages of life, different scenarios that people can have with their dad. And I really like the way that one came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. And I'll be including links to all of these down in the description of the video. So you can, for anybody listening, you can go check those out there. Um, with the move into songwriting,
Mhm.
you said that you enjoyed the storytelling aspect of it. Do you feel like, uh, in my opinion, and I'm not necessarily a musically inclined person by nature, to put it uh, graciously about myself, but uh, I generally kind of put lyrics into two camps. I mean, one of them is more of the storytelling, and then another one is kind of like a sharing an emotion and things like that. Some of your songs are very emotional. Are these um, eh, would you say that these are more ideas that you're trying to do from a storytelling perspective, or are these more reflections of something that you're taking from your own life and experiences that you're putting out there?
Wow, that's a hard question. Honestly, both. But my writing style is very storytelling, but I'm not necessarily making up a story, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So they're always, I mean, just to be honest, probably with every song that I've put out, there is some truth or life experience that I've experienced that I'm putting that in. Um, but like maybe for example, like on my first album, Not in Love with You Anymore,
Hmm.
That one in particular, I will admit that that was more of a scenario that I saw with one of my friends that was happening,
Mm. Yeah.
and we had really talked about that, and so, I mean, I'm not like Taylor Swift and anybody and spilling secrets,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
you know, but that was that, just something that we had discussed, and I was like, "Wow," I just had that kept having that feeling of, like, you still love someone because, I
Hmm.
mean, you've been there in a different scenario, it's not that specific scenario, but you can still have common feelings, and then put that and flesh that out into a story and still kind of spin it in a story way, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense,
No, no,
but
it makes sense.
yeah, so there's still like the emotion I try to still put into every song. That's still at the heart of it, but I try to be, I guess, crafty in my lyrics and trying to be more storytelling like. That's kind of how I err on that line versus, I mean, I'm definitely not, I'm a bit Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. I'm definitely not Anthony Kiedis, you know, he
Yeah.
just says
Yeah.
random words.
Yeah.
There is such a craft to that. It's just not how I do things.
Hmm.
It's just not how my brain works. So,
Yeah.
um
Understandable.
yeah, but I always have really been drawn to music that, like, really brings out my emotions, which
Hmm.
obviously the easy one that, really pulls on heartstrings obviously is, like, sadder stuff, deeper stuff, so
Hmm.
I try not to stay in that level because everybody's like, "Dang, Kailey, why can't you just write a happy song? That's what I wanna hear. Can you just write something happy?" I'm like, "Does a love song count?" But then I always find myself, like, putting in a twist at the very end. I'm so bad about that, like, I'm like, "Look at this good song, it's not sad, y'all, it's a love song," and at the very end, I'll put, like, one line that's like, "Wait, is it happy? Did she just change the meaning?" Yeah, I don't know. That's what I like to do, but yeah.
So, uh, your musical inspirations. You have a. I mean, you mentioned like Taylor Swift, but you definitely have much more of a, to me, kind of an older style to a lot of your music, and I know that you've mentioned a in other interviews, you've mentioned a number of different artists that you draw inspiration from, but uh, like maybe not in the past, but currently, who do you feel like is your biggest inspiration and the person that you're drawing the most creative energy from with Overcast and the stuff that you're working on right now?
Mhm. Um Well, number 1, I mean, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. My goal in, like, the craft of songwriting, I still really admire a lot of John Prine stuff. I know that
Hmm.
his, delivery of songs is very old school, and a lot of people don't like it, but the lyrical content, I mean, that man can put, I mean, pretty much an entire person's story life in, like, 2 sentences, it feels like sometimes. I'm like, "Wow, you
Hmm.
just said so much with so little in the best way." So I've always admired that. I'm always looking for new ways to pack in more meaning into smaller amounts of words rather than
Hmm.
drawing it out. But with Overcast, I'd say at the time before that, gosh, in the last couple of years, I've really gotten into Tours a lot, been listening to that. But I don't know, when it really comes down to it, I really lean a lot on Brandon, so my
Oh yeah.
producer, husband, everything, and say, "Look, what does this song need?" We sit down and we don't really say, like, "This is my style, let's stick to it, let's stay into the," we're like, "Okay, no, we're only focusing on this song. What
Yeah.
does this sound like? What do we want it to sound like? What does it mean? How do we want it to feel?" You know, and then we just kinda bounce off ideas like that. But honestly, when I'm, like, hard into writing, like, when I had to sit down for Overcast, like, for this album, you know, I was writing up until the very end that it had to be done, honestly. Some of those songs were, like, right on the edge of not being on the album because I just couldn't finish them like they needed to be finished. So, um, when I'm doing the songwriting aspect of it, I actually get to where I just don't listen to any music at all. Like, I won't listen to
Yeah, I can
radio.
imagine.
Yeah, I can't risk being influenced, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. I just because I have what I want in mind and I don't want to risk involving other people's ideas or melodies or anything else. So, I do have to separate myself there, but we try to lean on the edge of do what's best for the song, not what I need to be in a certain box. That's why my genres are always, I just always select singer songwriter, which doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day,
Yeah.
other than, I mean, it just gives you that freedom to say, I guess in my mind, is I really just care about the lyrics and the song. And at the end of the day, I want it to be fun to listen to,
Hmm.
and good to listen to. And I want you to keep listening. Um, but I do what's best for the song and what's going to deliver those lyrics the best at the end of the day. That's my standpoint on that. But yeah, I mean, I like all types of music. I like a song for a song, not because, well, I only like country, so I listen to country. No,
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, that's a good song. I'll give it to you. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna like
Yeah.
hate on a
Yeah.
song because it's like, oh, that's the new blah blah blah, whatever. I don't know. I like a lot of really different things. Right now, I'm super into Chris Cornell. Um, because now that I'm not writing actively on an album, I'm like getting into his singer songwriter album, the Higher Truth album that Brandon's been telling me. Like, he's like, if you like this, you've got to listen to this album. And so I'm just like, wow, you're so right. This is amazing. I love Chris Cornell. He's awesome. So he's one of my newer inspirations. I'm just now diving into. His voice is awesome. And so anyway, so I'm sure that will always develop and change, but
Yeah, I mean, that's
yeah,
kind of why I say, what's currently kind of, what are you pulling in from at the moment?
yeah.
But yeah, and I remember, I don't know if I was trying to talk about the article for Overcast that you sent in, or if I was just mentioning it in passing, but I was like, what is it? I guess and then I looked and you were like singer-songwriter. I'm like, well, that's not helpful.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's
I
just
was like,
like that's
it's
why.
kind of folk rock, it's that sort of Sheryl Crow-esque 90s with some other blendings and things like that. So it's
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what people have said. That's the few things. So like, I'm like, I have no idea who I sound like. So if y'all have some like suggestions,
yeah,
feel free to tell me.
if I had to peg it to one, I would say it's kind of that folk rock, Sheryl Crow, like alt folk rock, Sheryl Crow 90s era type music, which I enjoy. I just, it's a terrible description, you know what I mean? So
It is,
it's
especially like on the back end, like Spotify's like describe name 3 genres it fits in, and I'm like, I have no idea.
yeah,
Or like
yeah.
Amazon's like pick 3 artists, it sounds like. I'm like, I don't know. And I'm not trying to be that person that's like, oh, my music doesn't sound like anybody else. I know that it sounds like somebody. I'm sure. It's just I'm having a hard time begging it down, like you were
Yeah, well,
saying.
and it
So
varies from one song to the next, which is another
yeah,
problem. Um,
exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
well, speaking of different things that you cover in your songs, uh, some of your music, I don't know if I don't remember if it was like this on Old Soul, but with Overcast, you had a number of Christian songs as well. And I mean, I enjoyed those because they were not uh, I mean, whenever I was in like high school, early high school, that's right, whenever the contemporary music fads hit. And I don't know how you feel about this, but in my opinion, uh, there was kind of like this golden stage of contemporary music in churches where it was like all the old dudes who they were dads now or grandparents and they'd played music back in the 70s and 80s and
Yeah.
been in bands and then they were like, oh man, this will be super cool, and like they're just having tons of fun with this music. But then as time went by, it was like the contemporary music became its own little brand of thing, and you had dedicated people hired play and so on and so forth in some churches. And I feel like uh, your songs are kind of like back to that more authentic feel, for me at least, where you're not swinging for the what would you call it, like the Sunday circuit, if you know what I mean. Uh,
Hmm.
what what made you decide to put that kind of like put that out there, and is that going to be a a continuing kind of Christian music blend? Is that going to go into your other albums, or is that something that you might do separately, or what's the? What's the background on that?
Oh, that's a really good question. Honestly, kind of same thing as what I've been saying. It's just like I've never had the intention of we've got to make a hit. I just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy writing and making music and what feels right and where I was at when I wrote Know You, especially, which is one of the singles, but it was on the Overcast album. I mean, that's exactly how I was feeling at the time, to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
In my faith was like, I'm looking around and you just get to a point where you're like, man, I see these people, um, and I want to have that relationship with God, like I see other people talk about that relationship. And so honestly, that just came from a really honest point. Me and Brandon both were feeling that at that time. It's just like, wow, I really want to have a real relationship. I want to choose this religion for myself, not just do it because you grew up in the church,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So that's just where that started. And I had, we started with the chorus, just a very simple, what do you want? And just listed it out. And then we started, just started from there and then wrote the verses to that. And then let's see that the other song was No Surprises. That was actually one of the last
Mm-hmm.
ones I wrote for the album. Um and that one Brandon just had like a track and was like, just write something to it. And I was like, man, I just don't know what to put. And same thing at that time, that was written in 2023. No, you would have been 2022. So this year was just like, man, it has just been such a hard year.
Mm-hmm.
And you just get hit with so many things. And that's just kind of where I was at. I was like, man, this is one thing after another keeps happening. It's no surprise. That's where we were at. It was just like, I can't even be surprised that bad things are happening anymore. But at the same time, I just find myself being grateful because every time I just feel like God has brought me through that. And I've just found a lot of hope in my faith with that and just felt very taken care of. And my eyes have been open at the end of this year, especially like despite all the stuff that tried to step on me and just keep me down. It came out better than ever in a
Mm-hmm.
way. So I'm just grateful for that. So, yeah, it's definitely something I don't want to shy away from. I'm not saying there would never be necessarily just like a whole Christian album. That's not really something I've ever thought of. I just like I said, I honestly kind of like keeping the blend of just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes throwing one in there, because is it's like what you were saying. It doesn't have to be like the standard we're singing this in church worship song, to have that message. And so I think that's important too, just because I know a lot of people, when they hear that standard Christian style song, their ears turn off. They turn off everything. They don't want to hear it. So I feel like in a way too, I like having it this way, because I'm, just trying to share the message, share how I feel. And if that's something people wanted to explore, I'd be happy to talk more about that with them. And I'd be honored if they, uh, you know, heard that song and were interested in learning about, um, the Christian faith and things like that. So, but it's never something that I don't know. Like I said, I never thought about doing a whole album. I might
Mm-hmm.
explore that, but
I've accidentally planted a seed, so
you have.
sorry.
Honestly, I'm like, "Oh, I could do that." Like I said, I'm pretty open to anything. I don't wanna again, I'm not trying to be that person. It's not that I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna be stuck by a genre," or whatever. I don't care. It's just I literally just care about I like writing songs, honestly, and so whatever music goes best with that, that's what I'm gonna do, and again, like we were kinda talking earlier, um not everybody's going to be a Taylor Swift. Not everybody's going to be an Ed Sheeran. You're not going to go viral. That does not mean you can't have a successful career in what you do. There is growth and there are different levels of success in every, small, medium, large careers. You
Hmm.
know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I
yeah.
mean,
So, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say there's all sorts of ponds in media, and it, there's always a bigger fish, there's always a bigger pond, but that doesn't mean that you always want to try and keep swimming downstream until you get to the ocean. There's all sorts of very interesting and frankly a lot to me it seems like a lot nicer places to make your home, build your community, and do those kinds of things. So,
Right, exactly. Yeah, because people are just like I said, they're very stuck on, oh, you got to be on the label, you got to do this, you got to do
mhm,
that, and I'm like, you don't though. And there's a great community out there, like especially like you said, like you're starting with IronAge. It's just there is a community there that wants to support people, that wants to, you know, stop literally just stop supporting people who go blatantly against what they don't agree with, and
mhm.
they are trying to find people who respect each other's opinions, I guess, in a way, or just don't bring it up at all. I mean, there's a lot of crowds. You can get
Yeah,
into a lot
yeah.
of
There,
stuff
there
with it,
there are
but
definitely crowds. I mean, I've run afoul of some people, even within the Iron Age, who
mhm,
want to uh, take a very specific ideological bend to things, and I've always kind of said that. I mean, my attitude has been that I encourage gatekeeping and sub communities and all these other things. Like by all means, go form your community, create your crew, and go rock out with that and do the best you can. But I'm also kind of here as a as an on ramp, and you kind of have to have a big tent on ramp if you're really serious about getting people in and then filtered
mhm.
down. So as far as people who uh, are curious about your work and the kind of community that you're looking to build, a lot of your music, like you said, is more Christian in nature. You have like "Hey Daddy," it's a very pro father uh, song, which is uncommon in terms of legacy media, shall we say? Um, you know, what are some of your values and things that you want to put into, if not your work, at least your community that you're building through your music and your fan base.
Yeah, I guess just like honesty in a lot of different feelings like that. So, gosh, this is you keep giving me these hard questions. I feel like you should like pre-give us questions
Oh,
beforehand so I
okay.
could
I'll feed
prepare.
you the questions next time. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Let's see. I just hate being like, um, I don't know. I guess, yeah, just like I said, I really like music that makes you feel something. I've never really gravitated towards easy listening. I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll turn on stuff just for the sense of it, but I enjoy listening to music. So when I'm listening, I'm really listening, I'm getting in my feelings. Um, so that's what I like. I like these let's sit down, let's actually listen to the music. I love like when people do like stripped down concerts
Hmm.
and they're just them and the guitar and it's real like, oh, you hear a whole nother version of the songs. I've always really loved that. And so I really like that way of thinking. I don't my style is not running around on stage and we're singing to a autoplay track because I'm dancing and I can't catch my breath and you're not
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
hearing me sing. So that's what I would like to see come back is people that really enjoy good music and good lyrics and concerts and musicians that are focused on that rather so much than I mean you can still put on a show and we don't have to. I mean, the concerts have just gotten crazy, and that's great, like, there's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
room
Some
for
have,
that.
yes.
It's just, like, it's not my style, and so I'm looking for people, like you were saying, kind of literally, like, the old soul type people that are wanting to come sit down, hang out, listening to music, really listening, just enjoying it, enjoying hearing the music, hearing what it is, and, not just there for just a quick, flashing lights and everybody's shaking on stage and half naked and everything like that. I'm just like, whoa, why let's keep our clothes on. Let's just it's fine. Everybody does that. I'm not gonna get any further into that. But
So you'd
um
say definitely your pro clothing at your events. There's not going to be
pro clothing at my events.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because you see that okay, it stemmed from okay, I won't be a long story. I'll just be a
No, go
short
ahead.
little ad on that,
This
but
is your time. Go nuts.
okay, yeah, just growing up, okay, I was like country music in the mornings on the radio, going to school, coming back was like hard rock. So
Hmm.
I never actually had, no one was ever like, hey, Bonnie Raitt exists. Like these other cool, like female musicians exist. So all I saw was, rock bands,
Hmm.
everybody, that's great. And then as I got older, I'm starting to see like, okay, then you get into like, you're like, okay, so it's rock bands. And then I saw Britney Spears and I'm like, wait, there's no in between. So the only women I saw were like that. And I was like, I didn't see like the type of music I really liked, but like women doing that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just as I got older too and still saw that, and then same thing, like I saw, I see parents all the time complaining and people all the time like, "Oh, why can't it just be about the music? Why has everybody gotta shake on stage and do blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah?" But I'm like, "Then why are y'all still going to those concerts? Why are you still taking your
Yep.
girls and your boys to see these concerts if you don't like it?" But my other thing was, again, it's kind of see a need, fill a need. That has not never been my interest. And I'm like, you know what? I would like to be that person. I would like to be that person who can just bring it back around, and enjoy music that I like to play and not
Hmm.
just be soulless entertainment on stage that I don't know. I just feel like we've gotten away from that. It's all look at me, look at this, look at how much money we spent, look at these lights, and but there's no connection. I don't feel
Yeah.
anything there. So that's what I like. That's what I want to bring back.
Yeah. I
That's my
think
goal.
I'm trying to think about it. As you were talking about it, I think honestly, one of my uh, least enjoyable concert going experience was actually Warped Tour. I don't remember what year it was, but it was like just such a big like production and everything else. It was just, I mean, it was kind of crap for a lot of reasons. Um, some of it was just the people who were there, who were like there to be in a mosh pit and not necessarily see the band. And they were just like,
Mhm.
every single band, they were like, committing as much violence as possible, which I mean, sometimes that happens, but my best experiences have been, in smaller venues and with people who are really enjoying what they're doing. And I was thinking about the I don't know if you've heard of it, but the Stagecoach in Fort Worth, and I've listened to a number of uh, famous musicians, country musicians, come through there, and gotten to a little bit of two stepping and whatnot with them there, and it's really it's an honor to be able to hang out with these people who are legends in their own right. And I think that it's a real shame because there's not enough. I don't know. It's like a lot of things that seems to be happening in media. It's everywhere that the the artists that succeed are not really that attached to their craft. They're not that interested in what they're doing. They're more interested in
Mhm.
success. Um, so, anyway, to enough of that little diversion of mine. But I was going to ask, as far as the like broader culture. Obviously, as you mentioned earlier, you're much more like you're very committed to the ideals of indie, and you see that as like your path forward. Do you? I mean, do you feel like that is something that, thanks to resources that are available, whether it be cheaper recording software, things like that, is that viable for most people, or do you think that's still very much an uphill climb uh, for a lot of potential musicians?
I think putting out music is very easy and
Hmm.
viable for anyone. All the resources, like on the back end, I put everything to DistroKid. They've got a video on everything these days. It's super easy. It's not crazy expensive. I mean, everything is a subscription these days, and that's
Hmm.
annoying. But as far as having higher quality stuff being available, I mean, that's where the real split's going to be. So, yeah, it's just like YouTube videos. I mean, anybody can put anything they want, any quality, any video quality, sound quality, anything they want on YouTube, but um, so the availability is there, but I don't know, access to making it super quality, I guess depends on how much you're going to I don't know. I think a lot of it is learning how to work with your equipment because I mean, even Brandon and I, we don't have that much expensive equipment. I mean, the most of the songs we did, I mean, was on that the SM what is it? The Shure mic that's, I'm blanking
I
out on the name. The
I
black
was gonna
one
say
that everyone
you
has.
shouldn't try to get me to guess it because I have no idea. I'm a complete
Well,
neophyte. They're all microphones to me. This one, I'm like this thing sucks. I need to get a better one, and that's only for podcasting or live streaming. So
mhm.
you can say just about anything, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
You're like, "Yeah, of course, yeah, we
Yes,
know."
yes.
But yeah, it's one that's very common for people to have. It's
Hmm.
only a couple $100. It's just a very flat microphone. It doesn't accent really anything. But because of the timbre of my voice, like the how my voice, what accentuate the frequencies that are accentuated in it versus not, that works really well. But some people are going to be like, "Oh, you're just using that mic, whatever." It works really well for me. I've tried. I mean, we've had access to studios here in Nashville, Sputnik Sound, I've recorded there. Blackbird is an academy, but lots of famous musicians come in there. They've got more gear than you could ever think of. The $5,000 microphone that I sang on actually did not it sounded like crap with me versus another one that was like super cheap. So I would say, like, don't get caught up in not having expensive gear. Just really focus on knowing how to utilize that gear and how to hear what that gear is able to give you and what is lacking. So then you can then learn how to fix it kind of on the back end. You're not going to be able to fix everything on the back end on the recording side and like effects and things, but there are things, once you get into the fine tuning like EQ, you could EQ certain things out of a mic and add certain things to make the quality sound better. So, um, yeah, honestly, I mean, we're in the age where you can learn just about anything on
That is,
YouTube and
yeah,
not
very
have to
true.
have I mean, you don't have to have a degree these days. So, I mean, long story short, yeah, I think it's obtainable if you put in the time and really hone your craft, train your ears, and you can start with what you do have and know it well and know
Hmm.
it well enough to where you know what you're hearing when you hear something that's better. And when you do upgrade, you know that you're upgrading for the right reasons. Because again, the gear that Brandon and I are using to do these two albums it's not crazy. They're not crazy instruments. It's not really anything. You'd be surprised at some of the sounds and the things we put on here. That's just, um, yeah, you gotta be familiar with your equipment and know how to utilize it correctly. Because yeah, that's
Has playing live been a part of that process as well for like honing your craft, not just on the equipment side, but as far as your skills? Do you do you think that's something that's important, or at least was important for you?
um kind of. I'm actually way more I'm like the opposite of everyone I've ever met. I am way more comfortable performing live, like on a stage.
Hmm.
I clam up when I'm in like a small like if we're like around the campfire, everybody wants to sing and get on the guitar, and I'm like, nope, not me, not
Mm.
me. I get too nervous. On a stage, I feel very natural. I think I perform best. Just something because if I can hear myself in the mic, everything's good. I'm good. But if I'm like around the campfire and I can't hear myself well, because I actually don't have that loud of a singing voice.
Hmm.
So it's just hard for me in those type of settings. And then in the studio, there's just so much pressure. I don't know why. It took me a while, a lot of recording sessions to finally feel not nervous in the studio. So, and I'm hearing that now with some people, Brandon's recording as well. It's just like you can tell. I'm like, I've heard you live. You sound great. Why are you like getting all nervous in the studio? So,
Mhm.
um, so yeah, while I think that performing live does help you a lot with a lot of
Mhm.
different things, it is a different ball game when you get in the studio. Because when I got in the studio, I realized that when I play guitar, I like really hit the pick on the actual body of the guitar and you hear it
Oh.
so badly and everything. And I'm like, oh, so we're not going to be able to use any of my takes. Brandon, here you go. You record that instead. So actually, it was really like humbling to go in the studio. And then just hearing when I have to hear my voice looped and looped and looped, I'm like, oh, I say that word with a really southern drawl versus that one is like I slope off. And so, I don't know. The craft is just so different because there's a lot more. I mean, both need emotion, but the level that you'd bring to a live performance is different than I feel like for for the type of recording we've been doing. Um, I don't know. They're just so different. They've both brought out, I think that being in the studio has helped improve my live performances just because I remember like we've corrected things in recording that I now can put towards live music. Um, but yeah, they're just both so different. But I'm more comfortable in the studio now. I like that. But there's just something about performing live that is just, it's the best. So that's my favorite.
So, speaking of performing live, are you primarily in the Nashville area, or do you have any regular gigs, or is that something that you're looking at trying to do in the future?
That is definitely a future thing for me. I'll be
Hmm.
completely honest. We were really trying to do a lot of stuff last year, live, and we were in a couple of songwriter festivals. And then, like I said, live hit me so hard this year, honestly, on a lot of different levels. So I really just kind of buckled down and was trying to survive. And
Hmm.
I kind of actually like fell off at the beginning of the year. A little bit and came back and was like, gosh, I don't want it to seem like I'm only getting back on social media to be like, hey, I'm doing an album, everybody listen to it. Ugh, I hate that. Um, I don't I just don't believe in the you can't just always ask. It's our job as creators to always give.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
give and give and give and maybe hopefully we'll just earn enough grace to be able to ask every once in a while. But it was just a hard year. And I just buckled down and then focused on putting out the album. And because a lot of people, honestly, with COVID have really thrived just being solely like social media based. They're not even like
Hmm.
they're making careers just strictly on the internet. It's crazy. And they don't have any intention of playing live. And I mean, I don't blame them, but they got way more going on live videos with YouTube. That's definitely something I want to do. It's just when I actually sit down and think about like, what song are we going to choose? Let's do this. Should it be a reel? Then we have to only do a minute. Oh, should it be a video? I don't know. And then I'm like, oh, my house looks weird and I don't have a good background. And just I just I don't know. Social media is crazy. I like the opportunities that it gives, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure on making it look good.
Yeah, it's a very strange place. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely fallen into the just do it badly until you can do it better. And I
Mhm.
still haven't even started doing a lot of things better. So, you
Yeah,
know,
this is like my first time like on the stream live. You like sent me a link. I was like, I hope I'm doing this right. Let's see.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, worked out just fine. Um, yeah, and I would encourage you to, do a live show here and there. I'm sure people would get a kick out of that. I know I'd try and tune in. Um, uh, Speaking of the, um, oh man, what were you saying? Oh yeah, the beginning of the year and kind of falling off and everything else. One thing that I've found uh, personally in my life is that I sometimes I feel like I am just uh, making absolutely no progress, but just maintaining that like refusing to have backward like any like backwards momentum. I just can't slide back. That has been very critical to me continuing to keep doing the various projects that I'm in. Is that is is it fair to say that that kind of just keep grinding has been important to you, or is it more about like keeping habits, or are you kind of like maintaining until you get inspiration, things like that? What's been the productivity um, mix for you?
I mean, I do want to grow, but I want to grow in the right way. So I
Hmm.
definitely, I see a lot of people. I mean, someone literally said to me like last week, like, "Oh, you can do like basically telling me to like buy followers on Instagram and
Yeah,
then
I think
pay
that's
for the
terrible.
verified thing."
Yeah, I don't know.
I was like, first of all, any normal person that's been following me is going to see that I went from what, less than 300 to like thousands all of a sudden. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not paying for that also. And again, the point of this career and the point of everyone creatively should not be about the numbers. I know that a lot of venues do look at that. So I know why there's pressure for that to come into play. But at the end of the day, if you're really doing it because you love what you do, and again, the goal, if you're making music, I would feel, is you want people to really actually listen to it. So why would
Mhm.
I pay for a number on a screen that's not going to actually care anything about my music? So, um, I guess I'm not really answering your question very well. I'm sorry. That's just where my mind
That's
went,
all
was
right.
kind of saying, just like having people that actually really care about what you do, I feel like is really important. And, um, like you said, you I get a lot out of when I do see someone that's like actually really encouraged by my song, or like you do. You see those familiar faces come on your live streams and you're like, "Oh, hey, y'all are back. Oh my gosh, thanks." Like it means so much to us. And like you said, it's hard to like when you see yourself kind of like, like, oh, like not this many people got on the stream. That's okay. But you got to stay strong. And then you realize those people come back the next week. They're like, "Oh, sorry, I was out of town," and you just get so
Mhm.
happy, that that person like hung in there. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much pressure in likes and followers and viewers and all of this stuff, and especially like just on a social media standpoint. But then like again, venues are like, okay, how many people are going to come see you tonight? Because I don't want to see you here in Nashville. And I think that's been my problem, is I've just been trying to get a hold of my actual personal life and music life at the same time. And to be honest, to be frank with you, I'm a homebody. Like, do y'all want to go eat out? No, I'm not paying $50 to eat a steak. I'm gonna buy it from Walmart and make it
Yeah, that
myself.
that is crazy. And it used to be
Yeah.
a little bit before all this COVID nonsense. I mean, it used to be like, all right, I've got two kids. It's like, two kids meals, two dinners. You go out, it's like, it's less than $50. You can keep it under $50.
Hmm.
Now, no, you can't. And my God, it's just truly insane. But even that aside, it's a lot of times it's just such a hassle.
Yeah, and then people are like, "Well, that's how you get in at these places. You go and just sit down and hang out all night and just have some drinks with them and try to build connections." That's what I keep hearing: connections, connections, connections. But then what I found when I started exploring that route was, again, you run into the same thing. It's like these musicians and artists who follow you on Instagram that night, and when you don't follow them back, they like unfollow you. And I'm like, what are we doing? I don't I follow because of that exact reason. Like I'm just like, I keep everybody personal out of it. It's just business. I've only followed a few people just because I've actually worked with them. Just because I keep dealing with this, I'm just like, I don't care enough. Like to be on social media to play the petty, like, "Oh, you unfollowed me, follow me back. What are y'all doing?"
Well,
Like, no.
it's inauthentic. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that one of the core tenets of to me, one of the core tenets of the Iron Age, and the people who will succeed in the Iron Age are uh, folks who focus on being authentic to themselves, while still, I mean, obviously producing. You can't just say, "I'm going to live my truth," and then your truth
Yeah.
is, getting drinking a 12 pack and smoking a joint every night and doing nothing. That's no, you need to create something. You need to produce. You need to provide value. But if you don't do that authentically, then somebody is going to outcompete you, and I think that, I mean, uh, there's all these systems, whether it be record labels or venues or book publishers or whatever, whatever you want to pick in terms of the various legacy media, and even a lot of new media apparatus.
Hmm.
There's this sense that there's a formula. Well, if we just figure this one thing out, that'll work. And I always have felt like that's a trap.
Yeah, yeah. Facebook's like, oh, we'll help you find people on the back end if you pay us, and then then you
Yeah.
get into the whole detail, and it doesn't even get you anybody. It like I tried to do an ad set, and it was like, let me look at your followers and see. Well, let me make a suggestion. People that like Target. I'm like, what? That has nothing to do with music. Why are you trying to pinpoint people that like Target? That has nothing. Just the whole thing is a racket. And so, like, kind of like on what you were saying, like there are people who would love to watch, your videos and love to listen to my music. It's just trying to find those people is
Yes.
extremely hard.
Yep. There's so
Because
much noise.
yes, and they have learned, and heaven forbid if you buy into one Facebook or Instagram ad, then I feel like you're never going to go anywhere because now it's like, oh, you could do better on this post if you boost it. I'm like, no, just show it to just my followers. I don't even care about new people. Show it to the people
Yeah,
who
yeah.
actually follow me. It's crazy. And like, there are millions of people on this earth, and I know some of them will like what somebody is doing, but it's just like you said, it's about getting in. That's what I'm trying to focus on. That's what I'm trying to stay focused on is just trying my best to get my stuff in front of the right people. I'm not trying to bend my craft to fit the TikTok crowd, to fit whoever. That's what everybody keeps telling me to. Oh, get on TikTok, get on TikTok. It is not my style. It's
Well,
not my crowd. I don't, there may be some people who would like my stuff. That's just not the trend I'm seeing. So I'm not going to put my efforts there. You know, I that's why I came to you. I see what you're doing, and I really like that. And I like the movement that y'all are creating there. And again, focusing. I mean, even the Ultimate Kahuna, he's on a lot of different videos and stuff,
yeah,
and he did
yeah.
a review for me. He was like, actually, I just really listen to metal mostly, but it was just like him just taking time to support me was amazing. But also, I'm not going to be like, oh, boo, you only like metal. Like, I get that. If you like metal, you listen to metal music, but that doesn't discourage me from you saying, well, I usually only listen to metal. Like, you do you. I love that, and I love that he helped me out anyway. But then I also love that, just keeping the mentality of that's okay that they don't like what I do. Just keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing. Somebody's gonna like what you do. You just gotta find them. And so, but yeah, just I like the I don't know, just the offering. What am I trying to say? I like the aspect of let's stop complaining about what we hate and let's try to create something that we can get behind. And so that's what I really like about the Iron Age and the movement here. And yeah, just still putting my feet in there and trying to explore it. Like I said, I'm not very social media heavy on the back end. So
Yeah.
I just like to watch people's videos. I've never been one to comment. So I've been trying to like be in the chat and like get on there and be like, oh, hey. But then I never know what to say. And I'm like, wait, am I watching live? And then sometimes
This
I'll
is
catch
like,
myself and it's like,
yeah, I was gonna, this is like my wife. She's
mm-hmm.
you know, I love her. She's a mostly normal human being in person, and but whenever it comes to social media, she's like, she's just like, why would I say, like, I could say this, but I mean, does anybody even want me to say it? I don't know. And I'm like, stop
Yeah,
thinking,
exactly.
just start going. It's fine. You can, I don't even know if she has an Instagram, but you guys can be, you can high five from across X to Instagram or
Yeah.
something like that.
Overthinkers unite.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
I'm there. I'm like, what if they don't get my, and then like the emoji game is like, what or like, oh my gosh, this is a whole thing. And you're like Brandon, my husband, he never uses exclamations. I'm like an exclamation on every sentence. And then people are like, whoa, calm down. I'm like, wait, what? Like that's just just the way people text, you know, people can take it differently. So I don't know. It's just a whole racket. I'm just like, I'm just watching. I'm here. I'm supporting. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm trying, guys.
Well, I
I'm
think,
trying.
I think
That's all
that's
I'll say.
the most important thing. And you know, to me, a lot of it is just getting out there and getting moving. And I mean, you've like to me, I'm impressed by what you've accomplished already. I enjoyed both your albums, and Overcast did very well whenever it was first launched. And I think that's like I don't know. I think it's very commendable that you're already doing as well as you are, and I think it reflects upon the quality of your work. Which mean, I am not I certainly don't have like Sheryl Crow on my normal playlist, right? But I enjoy your stuff,
Mhm.
and uh, it's stayed on my playlist. So
Wow. Thank you. Thanks.
it's I think part of the authenticity factor is allowing other people to enjoy things. That's kind of part of the uh, some of the counterculture commentary, the legacy media critique is, well, just let people enjoy things. At first it was, you know, the various folks who enjoyed the literature, the various fandoms, and then there's these, weirdos coming in screaming at them saying, "You can't enjoy this. It's racist,
Right.
it's sexist, it's blah blah blah." Right? And you're like, "Just let me enjoy this." And then after they drove everybody out, then once they start putting their stuff in, and you're like, "This is garbage. Like, this doesn't even make sense." And then their scream becomes, "Well, just let people enjoy things." It's all very hypocritical. But I do think that there is a live and let live attitude that is necessary for the Iron Age, at least right now. Because uh, everybody it, it's really about making those connections. To me, that's the biggest thing. What you said about, there's got to be enough people out there who are going to love your music for you to, um, make this a success and keep doing what you're doing. It's just a matter of connecting with them. And, that's been my goal. And I appreciate your support with that as well. And I just think that staying focused on the long goal is that can be very difficult, but I think it's
Hmm.
important.
Yeah,
So
especially because you're like, oh, I just don't feel like posting a day. Like, but then
yeah,
you've got to, you know, yeah, very long term goal, but it has short term steps, you know, to get
yeah,
there.
that's very true. That's very true. All right, well, I don't want to keep you for too long. Can you tell everybody what the best place to find your work at is, and where you'd most appreciate some followers, and the best place to purchase your music or listen to your music in terms of revenue for you? Because I know not everywhere is equal.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, DistroKid makes it easy to put it on literally everything. But honestly, I mean, I don't care if you stream it. If you want to stream it, that's great. But to be quite frank, like if people don't know on the back end, you get like fractions and fractions and fractions of a cent
Hmm.
from like any streaming platform or whatever. So, but I mean, also, I can't also ask for like, I feel like I can't ask random people to be like, just go buy my album. Like, what?
Where
Like, no,
if
that's
some
money,
if
you
I was
know?
going to tell somebody to go buy your album, where would they buy your album?
Well, you could buy it. The places to buy it would be iTunes or
Hmm.
I think Amazon allegedly says they sell it, but every time someone tries to buy it on Amazon, they're like, it just makes me go stream it. So I guess iTunes,
Amazon
but I mean, even
is kind of shady. They're incredibly pushy about that. That's one of the reasons why I think ebook sales through KDP. Anyway, that's a whole side thing, but I do not really trust Amazon all that much to be
yeah,
good
but I
actors.
mean, even iTunes, like, people don't have the iTunes app on their phones anymore, like, it just doesn't. I mean, everybody's like, what is iTunes? It links me to Apple Music," and I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh," so even that's, like, pushing stream on Apple Music now, and the way it's so integrated, so it's so hard for artists, so I'd say, I mean, like, I have CDs, but you'd have to. I haven't ventured out into trying to even try to wrap my head around mailing that out. Like, that whole venture is just so scary to me. Maybe one
It's
day,
not that
guys,
bad.
just it's just not right now for me. You know what I mean? I'm just like, "Oh, I can't." but I want to do that. I really do. Um, but yeah, okay. So again, sorry, I'm rambling, but I guess
That's
iTunes
all
would
right.
be iTunes would be a good place. And then I see a lot of people on YouTube. All my music is there. You could listen to as well on YouTube. And then I'm trying to get better about actually posting my videos and stuff that I post throughout the week on there as well. Because I am seeing some growth there and I don't want to neglect anybody. Because like I said, I just appreciate if you're listening anywhere, honestly.
Hmm.
That's what I want. I want people to enjoy my music. So wherever that's best for you, I'm sure you can find it there. Just type in my name, Kailey Mathis, if you spell it right.
Links will be
um,
in description, so they won't
yeah,
need to worry
and
about spelling too much.
yeah, because I mean, sometimes I type it in Instagram just to put my own song on my own video, and it's like, wait, which artist? What are you talking about? Here's Jay Z. I'm like, that's not what I typed in, but okay, Instagram. But anyway, so yeah, honestly, yeah, I would just appreciate anybody just giving it a chance to listen, see if you'd be open to it. Like I said, just try to keep an open mind. Because, like you were saying, it's not something you may typically listen to, but you might find yourself like, hey, I actually really like that one song. I could hear myself listen to that, you know? And that's just how I am with music as well. So I guess that's why I'm saying to do that, but
I
not
was gonna
everybody
say
does that.
it's not that strange, folks. You're not gonna be shocked. It's not like we're listening to Mongolian throat singing or anything. So I encourage
Yeah.
everybody to go and check out your music. Like I said, links will be in description. And thank you again for joining us. And hopefully we'll get to talk again here before too terribly long whenever you get another album lined up.